Okay, so today's video is a little different. What's up, guys? I'm Ian Smash from this channel. Today's video is going to be about how to build your own sim rig like I did mine. It's not a full tutorial or anything like that, but just kind of an explanation of how to do this process because I did it myself and it's not that complicated. So we're going to jump into like a picture-in-picture situation, and I'm going to walk you through the basics. Yeah, I didn't think this through that well. Okay, so we're in Fusion 360. Download that if you don't have it. Super useful in this process. Yeah, and so I've already built out an entire example of a sim rig. And now I'm just going to kind of walk you through step by step what you need to do to build your own version of this. The first step I took was figuring out how much space do I have to build my sim rig. For me, in my living room, I have a small corner that I work with that's probably about 5 feet wide by 6 feet wide. And so in 3D, I built my corner. This space represents roughly the area I have to put my sim rig in. Easy. Now, the next step is measuring your body. This is a little more complicated. You can do it a number of different ways. I tried 2 different things. The first thing I did was sitting in my actual car. It's a BMW 3 Series, so it's not like a Formula One car, but it has a relatively sporty seating position. I took some mental notes of the angle of the seating position, and then I set up a bunch of pillows on my couch and sort of tried to mock up what I would consider the ideal seating position for my sim rig. I was looking for something in between a GT and a Formula car, maybe like a prototype Le Mans car. And so then I added all of that stuff into Fusion 360. What I did was I measured each of my appendages and a general spacing between them. Stuck my head in what feels like the correct place. And this sort of gave me a baseline to work from when starting to build my rig. Now the next step is an easy one. It's think about what you want your rig to be. What gear do you want to put on it? What do you want it to look like? What do you want the seating position to be? And then throw as much of that into 3D as you can. So I downloaded this seat off of the internet. I don't actually know where it came from anymore. I mocked up a Fnatic CSL DD based on text specs I saw on the internet. I found these pedals as well, free to download on the internet. And then I threw in these monitors, which represent 32-inch 2K 1000R curved monitors. Mine are from BenQ, and they're not exactly these specs, but more or less this is the size of the monitor I was going for when I designed my rig. And so yeah, you want to kind of start putting all those things into space and at least where you think you're going to want them to go. When you design your rig, you're going to want to have some flexibility in where everything can be mounted. So always keep that in mind as you build. But I think starting out, you want to sort of just generally get an idea of where you want to sit in it before you really start building. So now here's the fun part, building the actual extrusions. The reason I recommend using Fusion 360 is because they have a connection to the McMaster-Carr catalog. You can't see it in the drop downs, but you click the insert button. There's an insert McMaster-Carr component button. Click that and type extrusion, and you can find all kinds of aluminum extrusions to work with. So for me, my base is made out of double extrusions. There's a friggin' measurement. Okay, metric, 80 millimeter rail height, T-slot framing rails. You want to actually pay attention to this part. Most of the extrusions you will buy are going to be one of these 2 types. You want, in my opinion, again, this type, hollow construction, It's usually called I-type slots. They're 8 mm wide slots, and they are kind of like the standard for most sim rigs. So here you can pick your size. You don't really have to work with this catalog. This is really just to get to the next step. Click the size you want to add. Go to this drop down here and switch to 3D step and click download. I'm trying. All right, here it is. And so when you do that, you're going to drop in a 3D model of an extrusion, which is really sick because now you can position it in space wherever you want it to go. Maybe like that. And bam, you're freaking building a sim rig. So this part takes a long time. I'm not going to lie to you, and I'm not going to do it in front of your face because nobody's going to watch that. So I'm going to now show you an example of a sim rig that I designed based on my original sim rig design. Then I'm also going to allow everyone who watches this video, which could be almost no one, to download for free, and you can work off of it to design your own sim rig or even just spec it out and order it yourself. So the first thing I build is the part that holds the seat. It's the base of the sim rig. It's what holds your seat down, and it's what everything else is going to be attached to. You can use the McMaster-Carr catalog to find hardware components like brackets, T-nuts, whatever other shit you want to actually add into your model. I don't really... Wow, it just crashed. That's cool. That's going to happen, you know, but Fusion 360 being a cloud-based software, everything should still be there. It's all good. So we're back. We don't need that. Back to the seat section. So yeah, add your rails, your extrusions, add your brackets, make yourself a little base. Then you want to build the rest of your ship. For me, I like overlaps versus intersections better. Intersections are not as strong, and what does that mean? That means, like, for example, here, right, where it's a T intersection. This is not going to be as inherently strong as this, for example, here. This overlap is going to be a shitload stronger and more rigid than this intersection. So anytime you want stuff to be really sturdy, overlap. Anytime you're just reinforcing sort of like a secondary support structure, intersections are fine. Same goes for rail sizes, extrusion sizes. A lot of sim rigs on the internet are made out of like huge extrusions, and unless you're doing a full motion platform that's like suspended from four corners, I don't think you really need the chassis to be like that insanely stiff. So for me, I use 4080 as my big extrusions. And that goes for most of the base parts and the uprights, and then 4040 for any sort of secondary support extrusions. This design here is pretty solid. It's based around a Fnatic CSL DD and Elite V2 pedals, which is what I have. But you could add other components. On my personal rig right now, I have another 4040 extrusion right down the center here, supporting my PC shelf. But if you're not putting a PC or anything there, then you might not want that. In my mind, with this version of the build, if I was to build this now, I would probably put a solid piece of wood across the top of the box to be like a shelf. But yeah, I mean, if you were to use this, do whatever you want with it. So yeah, the next part is the monitor mount. I personally like an integrated monitor mount because it's like less extrusions going down to the floor and it looks a little cleaner to me. On my personal rig now, it's plenty sturdy like this. I actually have mine kind of different. So I guess I'll fix that right now. So on my personal rig, I have an integrated monitor mount like this, and I like it this way because it's a little cleaner. Um, Feel free to build whatever you want though. That's the point of this video. It's really not very complicated. When you drop your extrusion in, if you want to move it around, you press M, you grab the things, you move them around, you press enter, easy. So yeah, this is designing a sim rig in Fusion 360. Once you're at this part, you're going to want to go through and measure each one of your extrusions and figure out how long is it. You're going to want to write down a list of all of your extrusions, all of your anticipated hardware, everything that you're going to need to order. And if you're following my plan, you go to Motitus for your extrusions. Motitus is an international company for extrusions and other, I don't even know what you call it, machine components. And they are by far the lowest price source that I've found when I was looking to do this. They're pretty limited compared to other options for extrusions, but the price more than makes up for it, in my opinion. You go to Motitus's website, and they kind of have everything you're going to need to build your sim rig. These are the two recommended extrusions that I used. But again, build out of whatever you want. Pretty easy to do. You click in, you choose what you want. You dial in your length here. You click if you want machining. I would recommend doing M8 threads in the end of your extrusion. It's going to cost like very little extra. I think it's like a couple of bucks, but totally worth it down the line when you want to modify or upgrade or customize your rig even with add-on components. So yeah, super simple. Add all of your extrusions that you wrote down on your list, and add your hardware. One of my recommendations here is to get way more hardware than you think you need. Like, I wouldn't say double, but close to it. When it comes to things like choosing exactly what hardware, I would recommend using these guided spring type with the ball because they stay aligned a little more easily. These twisting style ones with the curved insert are nice for things that you want to quickly add and remove or adjust a lot. These hammerhead ones are useful for certain weird things, so maybe grab a bag of these just cause. But yeah, just grab a ton of hardware. This stuff is way more expensive to order anywhere else in smaller quantities, so while you're here, just grab a bunch. So worth it in the grand scheme. I spent a lot of money on Amazon buying like 10 brackets and things like that. And I honestly regret just not ordering a whole bunch extra up front. Same goes for these corner brackets. Remember when you're ordering to just double check your input sizes. 40 I-type slot 8 is what you want. Yeah, grab a bunch of extras, add it to your card. You're gonna thank me later when you're building your own sim rig. And yeah, I mean, it's really not that complicated overall. It is a fun process if you're into building your own stuff, customizing things, or just making stuff for no reason. And I highly recommend it because at the end of the day, having your own custom designed sim rig is so worth it. Yeah, I don't have an outro. This is the video, dude. It's super simple. I fucking did it. I'm not super smart. So if you want to build it, I say go for it. Just try it. And yeah. If you appreciate my video, like subscribe, like the video, leave comments and stuff. That helps. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel into a real YouTube channel. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.